Let's start today's video off by getting you guys involved in the comments. Who do you think should start week 2 for the Falcons? Kirk Cousins or Michael Penix? They're not pulling the plug on Kirk Cousins after one bad game, of course, and I'm not advertising for them to do so. But if Cousins is not healthy, why not see what you have in your first overall pick? So let me know what you think in the comment section while this intro video rolls. Welcome on into Falcons Today by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here, getting you guys ready for Week 2 in Philadelphia on Monday Night Football between the 0-1 Falcons and the 1-0 Eagles in a battle of the birds. So we're going to run through a complete preview. We'll kind of recap a little bit of Week 1, then check out some of the keys to victory for Raheem Morris, and then we'll end the video with my prediction for this game. First, some injury news. Thankfully, the Falcons don't have many injuries at all. Chris Lindstrom was the only one that got banged up in the loss. However, he just missed 2 snaps and then came right back in the game. Meanwhile, the Eagles, they've got a short injury list as well. Devin White missed week 1 with an ankle injury, and Isaiah Rodgers picked up a hand injury. Now, to kind of put a bow on week 1 for the Falcons, this sucked. I mean, it sucked on so many levels, but of course, it just sucked because of the excitement going into this year, and then they laid a complete dud in week 1, not even scoring a single point in the second half and losing to a team that never scored a touchdown. That is like the most Steelers thing ever to win a game without scoring a touchdown, and the most Falcons thing ever to lose to a team that did not score a single touchdown. Meanwhile, the Eagles and the Packers were in a much more exciting game on Friday night in Brazil. By the way, the Eagles come into this game with a lot more rest than the Falcons, but they eked out a shootout win over Jordan Love and the Packers, 34-29. Jalen Hurts was up and down in that game, which leads us into our Eagles Now host here at Chat Sports, Chase Sr.'s takeaways from that Week 1 win. Defense saved the game early, he notes. One thing that really jumps out to me is the red zone and third down defense. I mean, if the Falcons are going to move the ball at all and put up touchdowns and not field goals, it's got to start by converting in the red zone. But first, it has to start by converting on third down to get into the red zone. As always, the Eagles' weapons are explosive. A.J. Brown had that huge touchdown catch for Philly. Jalen Hurts up and down. That's encouraging news for any team playing the Philadelphia Eagles in the next few weeks. Hopefully, the Falcons' defense can exploit that. And then, as always, the offensive line for the Birds are bullies, so no surprise there. My takeaways, though, for the Falcons after their loss to the Steelers. Kirk Cousins is not healthy. I mean, we were lied to. Point blank. He's not on the injury report at all, yet he cannot move whatsoever in the pocket. So I just feel like the Falcons are trying to pull a quick one underneath us, and it is so apparently obvious to us that Cousins is not healthy. I mean, they were putting up an absolute masterclass of propaganda over the summer, talking about how great and mobile Cousins looks, and that every single drop back of his, he did not move more than 1 square yard from where he got the football. I watched the entire game back. I watched every single drop back of his, and Cousins was a statue. It was as if there were 11 Medusas on the other side of the line of scrimmage. So Cousins hopefully will get healthy soon, but he is not healthy right now. And a team I do not want to go up against with an unhealthy quarterback, the Philadelphia Eagles. Next takeaway. Bijan Robinson is a focal point. I mean, he's awesome for starters, but if you don't have a healthy quarterback, yeah, you're probably going to want to pound the rock a little bit. So Robinson, he's going to continue to get a ton of touches. The offensive line got bullied. Just flat out got bullied. It surely doesn't help when Cousins can't move the pocket around much or avoid pressure, climb up in the pocket, roll out a little bit. Not that he ever did that in Minnesota, but having a completely non-mobile quarterback altogether, I mean, that's going to make life even more difficult for an offensive line that just got punked week 1. Next takeaway, the offense was predictable. I mean, what was going on with Zach Robinson in his first game as an NFL play caller? You don't have Kirk Cousins line up under center once other than a kneel down and a spike. Kirk Cousins, the king of play action, had 0 play action, or even worse, not a single run out of shotgun. But 86% of runs came out of the pistol formation. You're just telling the defense after the first quarter and change, hey, if you see shotgun, that's when we run the football. If you see pistol, we're not running the football. I mean, you got to keep the defense guessing a little bit. The offense was way too predictable. And I'm not sure if that's just because Zach Robinson is a bad OC or a bad play caller, or if he is completely hamstringed by the fact that Kirk Cousins is a statue, which brings me back to the first point. He is clearly not healthy. Fifth and final takeaway, this defense is legit. I mean, it was a little bit on the older side. Simmons, Jarrett, Judon. But you know what? They still have gas left in the tank, at least early on in the season. So, yeah, you can lean on this defense. They did not give up a single touchdown against Justin Fields and the Steelers. Now, up next on the show, we're going to check out some keys to victory for the Atlanta Falcons, trying to salvage their season because you're not mathematically done at 0-2, but that's a tough hole to climb out of, especially when Week 3 is home against the Kansas City Chiefs. So my first key to victory for Kirk Cousins and company, improved game plan. I mean, going back to what I was just talking about a moment ago, there was no game plan. It felt like, well, that's not entirely true. There was a game plan for Week 1. It sucked. It was booty cheeks. Field Yates pointing out that the Falcons were in pistol or shotgun on 96% of their snaps today. Of the 22 snaps out of shotgun, the Falcons had 0 design runs. Of the 26 snaps out of the pistol, the Falcons ran the ball on 81% of their plays. Like I was just saying a moment ago, way too predictable. I mean, this cannot be a high school offense. In high school, that's okay, because if you know that you're better than your opponent, then you can impose your will on them, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. Here's the difference. This ain't high school. I mean, this is not Johns Creek going up against Swanee. Like, you've got an NFL defense in front of you, and you're running the same plays over and over again, and there's no variety in play type or structure. Against the Steelers, the Falcons had 0 play action plays. Just for reference, by the way, Kirk Cousins in 2022, his last full season, he led the NFL in play action. No quarterback had more pass attempts in play action than Kirk Cousins in 2022. Fast forward to game 1 in Atlanta, he goes from the top of the mountain of play action to, if this is base camp, 50 feet below that. It's inexcusable if Cousins cannot move to the point where you cannot run a simple play action, get him off the field. I'm not saying that he's bad or cooked at this point. He just simply doesn't look healthy. And that is hamstringing this offense. And you have a first-round pick in Michael Penix sitting on your bench who is very well capable of playing right now. He's not some 20-year-old who needs to develop for 3 years. The guy played 6 seasons of college football, 4 years in Bloomington, 2 years at Washington. Him and Bo Nix are the most pro-ready quarterbacks we have ever seen in the history of the NFL. Put him out there. You clearly liked him enough to use the 8th overall pick on him. If Cousins wasn't there, he would have started Week 1 anyway. Bo Nix started Week 1. There's no reason why Penix should not be able to play if Cousins can't simply operate a play action play. Now, before we get on to the other keys to victory for Raheem Morris, who, by the way, should be writing this down, make sure to come hang out with us for our watch party on Monday Night Football. Hit that thumbs up button if you want to see the Falcons win. We will be live 60 minutes before kickoff. So pregame with us, tailgate with us, and then watch the game with us. It's the best way to take in a Falcons football game. Second key to victory, forced takeaways. This is actually violating one of my cardinal rules of previews, which is don't just put out football cliches like protect the football and run the ball. But I think this is paramount for the Falcons defense against the Philadelphia Eagles. One, the Eagles in 2023 won 11 games. In those 11 games, they turned it over 14 times. In their 6 losses, 5 fewer games, they turned it over 14 times. Clearly, the Eagles struggle when turning the ball over. So you've got 2 awesome safeties who have master degrees, doctorates in takeaways. Jesse Bates last year, an all-pro safety. 6 picks, 2, 3 forced fumbles. Justin Simmons led the NFL in picks 2 years ago despite missing 5 games. No one has forced more takeaways than these two guys the last 2 years, aside from Duron Bland, who had 10 interceptions last year. You got to force takeaways because you can't bank on this offense putting up 30 points if Kirk Cousins has cement feet. Like, the offense doesn't look like it's going to get the job done. Like, the offense doesn't look like they can move the ball down the field consecutive drives. So the defense has to help them out in some way, shape, or form. They got to give them a head start. They got to give them the ball at the 50 so they only have to go half the distance. They got to come away with a pick six to spot the offense a touchdown because it looks like this offense is going to be behind until Kirk Cousins gets healthy from that Achilles injury. Third key to victory, you got to be hungry for the win. This is just going to be one of those we want it more games. The Eagles come off a nice trip to South America, maybe go to the beaches a little bit, check out Carnival in Rio. They got a nice long siesta because they played on Friday. They're 1-0. Their bellies are full. They're at home Monday night. We got this. Fuck that. Falcons got to come out there and punch them in the mouth. Look at Atlanta's upcoming schedule. It's not getting any easier after this. You got the Chiefs at home. Then you got a Saints team that just demolished the Panthers. And you got a Bucs team that won against the Commanders by 2 scores. If you don't come out with a win here, it's not going to be any smoother after that. Now, Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, since working side by side, beginning at 2021 through 2023, at home, they are 16-9, which kind of surprised me that it wasn't even better than that. I would have assumed they'd have a better win percentage than winning, what is that, not even quite 2/3 of their home games. But what I did look at was all those 9 losses, the score at halftime. They are getting outscored 139-91. I mean, they are kind of getting beat up in the first half in all those home losses. These are not close affairs at halftime, and the Eagles just have the game slip away from them in the final moments. No, teams are coming out there and punching them in the teeth and then running away with it in the second half. So for me, this means a fast start for the Falcons. Offensively, defensively, special teams, this team has to get off to a nice early start if they want to come out on top. So who you got in this game, Falcons or Eagles? Let me know in the comment section below to wrap up the video. I'm going to give you my score prediction in just a moment, but don't be afraid to shoot your shot down below. I'm doing this out of the goodness of the Atlanta Falcons. I'm going to fade them so that I can be wrong because you guys love to say if PD says it, it's not happening. So you know what? I'm going to do everyone a solid right now. I'm picking the Eagles to win this one 27-14. I'm also just somewhat, realistic of choosing to believe that the Falcons offense putting up 10 points at home in week 1 is not going to get much better on the road against the Eagles defense. And the Eagles offense is much better than the Steelers offense. I mean, Atlanta, I shouldn't say is lucky that they only escaped giving up 18 points because kudos to the defense for forcing all those field goals. But a half-decent offense turns at least 2 out of those 6 field goals into touchdowns. We're talking adding an additional 8 points onto the scoreboard. Instead of losing 18-10, you're losing 26-10. Yeah, did I get that right? I did. So I'm going to go Eagles 27-14. I want to be proven wrong, but I need the Falcons to show me that Kirk Cousins can move around the pocket a little bit first.